All right. Welcome to episode 11 of the Ginger and
Soul Podcast. We have a huge show for you today, a big sports show. We're going to bring a new segment to the pod called Word on the Street, where we break down the biggest headlines in the NFL and NBA. But it was a massive weekend in college football, and we're going to break that down first. Rivalry weekend in college football. Thanksgiving weekend every year is when all the big rivalries happen, and we will get our rivalry draft up shortly, so feel free to check that out, where we talk about some of the biggest rivalries in all sports. But this weekend it was all about all the big college football rivalries. So it started off with a bang this morning, or not this morning. It's been a few days now. But the point is, started off in the morning with the game, Ohio State and Michigan. Coming to this game, Ohio State smacked the fuck out of Michigan State to take the lead in the Big Ten and to move up to number 2 in the country. Michigan at number 5. Coming into this game, Michigan had lost 8 straight to OSU, and they have lost 15 of the last 16 years. Old khaki pants Jim Harbaugh has never beaten Ohio State in his entire career, despite that big contract they gave him. But this wasn't any old game between these two. This had a lot at stake, David. This was for a spot in the college football playoff. This is for a spot in the Big Ten championship game at the Big House, in one of the biggest stadiums in all of America. And Michigan took it. They finally beat them, and it was great to watch. And it was really classless by these Ohio State fans to be crying. I just read you the stats, David. It's been a long time since Michigan beat Ohio State, all right? You've had plenty of dominance, and all the comments from these Ohio State fans are like, oh, it's one time in blah, blah, blah years. It's like, take your loss like a man. Go ahead. You want to say
I've
something?
never seen a Patriots fan cry in my life.
Exactly. It's like the Lakers, if the Lakers lost to the Clippers in the playoffs, I'm not going to cry. I won't be happy,
No.
But, come on. We've beaten the crap out of them all these years. That was really classless, and it was really cool to see those Michigan fans finally get over the hump, rush the field, and do all that. It was really a cool moment. So congrats to them. I like to play a little game ever since I went to Boulder and kind of been like, okay, who here can actually play on Sundays? So I kind of was, and in this Michigan-Ohio State game, there was a lot of standouts. NFL talent on both sides, all over the field. I don't want to say his first name wrong, but Hutchinson on Michigan, number 97, is a really impressive defensive end. He will be a high first-round pick for sure. And I'm excited to see him in the NFL. He broke the Michigan single-season sack record in this game. So congrats to him. Their running backs are really good at Michigan, but I haven't seen him play other than this game, so I don't want to jump to conclusions. He actually had 5 rushing touchdowns this game, so he had a huge game. But Ohio State has a bad man at quarterback, C.J. Stroud. I know they lost, and he was getting a lot of shit after they lost to Oregon. He was getting a lot of the blame, but he's a baller. I was impressed. I think he finished at 350 for the game. So his future sky, he's only a freshman.
394.
Oh, my God. Yeah, no, he was playing great. And it's tough because it was cold and snowing there. And when Michigan State played Penn State that afternoon, it was like dumping snow. So it got really cold in Michigan that day. So he's going to be a problem. And I'm excited for this. Now we have a rivalry here, David, because now next year when this goes back to Columbus, the Ohio State fans are going to be rowdy. And so this is going to be a really exciting game next year as well. So I'm happy the rivalry's back, and it's going to be great. And then I'm going to move on from this game, but Chris Olave, this is going to be like the next Ohio State great receiver. He's outstanding. If you haven't seen him play yet or any of his YouTube highlights, definitely check it out. He's going to be dominant in the NFL. But the great games didn't stop there. You had the Iron Bowl in the afternoon. I caught the end of this one. It was a low-scoring affair. It looked like it was going to be kind of a boring game. Auburn coming in has been really bad this year, and Alabama's Alabama, looking to stay alive in the playoffs. But this is an important game for Alabama because they would be eliminated from the playoffs if they lost. And Georgia's like the dominant team this year. They're actually looking at college football history. Their defense has been crazy. So, but Auburn gave them all they could handle with their awful quarterback who was playing on one leg. Props to him for gutting it out, but like, wow, was he terrible? He should have been benched. They're up 10-0 going into the fourth. And I was kind of like the Joker watching this game. I was like, oh, I want this. No Alabama, no Ohio State. The playoff committee is going to lose their minds. But Alabama is Alabama. And they came back. And for the first time in Iron Bowl history, they've been playing this hundreds of years. It went to overtime. And not just one overtime. Not just two overtimes. Not three. But four overtimes, David. At Auburn. And Bryce Young, another Southern California quarterback. You're noticing a theme here. He's a bad boy. He's only a freshman as well, but he was really impressive, really clutch down the stretch, and Alabama pulled out the win. Great job by them. So now the SEC championship game is going to be huge because I don't know what the committee will do. It's controversial, so we could talk about that after these games happen, but I don't know who will make the playoffs. If Alabama loses or Georgia loses, it's going to be very up for debate. But Alabama's going to play Georgia, has been number one all year in the SEC championship. So props to them. Bryce Young is clearly going to be an NFL guy, and then number 8 on Alabama, this guy Michi. I don't know how to spell or pronounce his name, but that dude's a dog, and he's one of my favorite players that I've watched. The last rivalry I'm going to talk about is the Bedlam, which is Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. This is a wild game. Lots of turnovers by special teams, and it's typical Big 12 fashion, a lot of points. But that's not why I bring this game up, David. Because not only does Oklahoma lose their arch nemesis, Oklahoma State, in the Bedlam battle, and get eliminated from the Big 12 title game, they also lose their coach less than 24 hours later to USC. USC swooped in, and the contract came out this afternoon. $110 million. Exclusive use of the private jet. Oof. And more. And he gets to live in Southern California instead of Norman. Instead of shitty Norman, Oklahoma. And a lot of these Oklahoma fans are big fucking crybabies, all right? I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear it, bro. Like, think about the situation Lincoln Riley is in, right? Oklahoma, to be fair, has become one of the premier programs in college football, so it's not like he's leaving, Southern, Panera Bread Tech or whatever. Like, he's leaving a real school, like, top 5 every year. You look at the quarterbacks in the NFL, Baker Mayfield, Kyler, back-to-back number 1 picks. Jalen Hurts was good. Joe Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, as you can see, is incredible. So, he was doing his thing. But, you get offered more money to play in a not as racist, no death threats city. A lot nicer town for more money. And not to mention, as I've brought up, David, that all the top prospects are from here, from Southern California, right? I just mentioned C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Those are the 2 best quarterbacks. And Matt Corral at Mississippi is the 3rd quarterback from Southern California. So the top 3 Heisman candidates are all from Southern California. So if you can keep these guys, and by the way, Bryce Young originally committed to USC, and he left for Alabama. So, it's not impossible to keep these guys here. It really isn't. All the top recruits are in Long Beach and, all over. You see the NFL, it's all Southern California guys. So I think this is a great move by USC. They needed to make this move. Do you have any thoughts on it?
No, yeah, so this guy, for the people who don't know, this guy's, what's his full name?
Lincoln Riley. I'll give you a little background on him. He's like one of the elite coaches in college football. Like, now that Urban's gone, I'd say he's the 2nd best coach. But I'll go top 3, so you can put whatever coach you want to put behind Saban. Lincoln Riley's definitely in that discussion. Point is, he's basically Sean McVay, really innovative offensive coach. Defense could use some work, but that's kind of a product of the conference he was in and not necessarily the coach, in my opinion. So, yeah.
I see. Yeah, very interesting stuff. I feel like, and maybe this is way too early to say, but I feel like this year things have been changing a little bit, right? We've been seeing big losses from some of the biggest teams. Um, Obviously, Ohio State taking that loss to Michigan was big. Seeing one of the biggest coaches go to the Pac 12, do you think that there is a sort of small changing in the guard that might be coming in the next like 5 to 10 years in college football? I know it's been a big problem for a while, right? About the sort of dominance that these teams have. So do you think that the NCAA sees that and is trying to do something about it?
No, they're doing the opposite. Because
Okay.
Oklahoma, because Oklahoma and Texas are moving to the SEC. So a big theory going around is that Lincoln Riley is being a big chicken, big pussy, and not and doesn't want to play the SEC competition, which I think is bullshit, personally.
Mm,
Because if you look at the SEC standings, none of these teams are doing that great. I mean, LSU just hired, breaking news, but LSU just hired Notre Dame's coach Brian Kelly. Maybe they turn it around, but these programs aren't that good. Georgia, Alabama will always be at the top, but then it's like Florida's down, A&M's been okay, Arkansas is up and down, Ole Miss isn't anything, although they did hire Lane Kiffin. I mean, I just don't see the SEC as this dominant conference as it was at one point, which I think the Big Ten made a huge jump this year personally, but I don't know. It's a great point. And I think USC with Lincoln Riley can be really interesting. And what could really be interesting is if UCLA becomes they took a huge step this year with Chip Kelly. And if they get good, then you're gonna have three legit powers in the Pac-12, plus Utah,
mm,
who's always going to be in the hunt. So that could make the Pac-12 kind of bounce back a little bit, if
mm.
anything.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, some pretty interesting stuff going on in the college football world. Definitely gonna have to keep an eye on that. So, all right. So we got the word on the street, our news segment.
On the street, that little nigga keep word on the street. Yeah, I heard he kicked that heat.
All right, word on the street segment. What's the what block are we going down first here, Jake?
All right, I want to start with Kevin Durant. This is kind of last week's news a little bit, but I think it's still worth discussing. So, Golden State came into Brooklyn and destroyed them. Um, and then Phoenix came to town and destroyed Brooklyn as well. So the word on the street, the debate here is, did Durant make a mistake by leaving Golden State and joining with Kyrie and Harden? And what will Durant's legacy become if Golden State wins the championship this year?
Hmm, that is an interesting question. I would say that I don't think Durant made a mistake leaving. I think that Durant was going to a situation that on paper was too lucrative to pass down. And I'm pretty sure that Durant was having issues with the organization over there in Golden State a bit. And that's not really something you can really solve necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if Durant did stay, don't get me wrong, right? Golden State, he would have bounced back from his injury by last year. It would have been him and Steph. They probably wouldn't have won in the West, but the next year, at this point in time, they would be dominating. They would be definitely be dominating right now. But it's not anything that KD could have predicted. Um, if anything, I would maybe even flip the question and be like, okay, did Golden State do enough to keep KD? I mean, right? Aren't they one KD away right now from having a guaranteed championship?
Well, of
So
course, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, interesting question though. Considering that Brooklyn is getting smacked right now. I mean, listen, one thing that KD should have probably thought about is okay, who am I about to join the team with? Okay, it's James Harden and Kyrie Irving. Okay, Kyrie Irving is fucking crazy, and James Harden James Harden is James Harden. So the problem with Brooklyn has always been that these two guys are liable for some bullshit, and the
Yeah.
bullshit came to pass. So yeah, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like, obviously, like, they win a championship with Durant this year. There's no
Yeah.
debate because they could win it this year without him. They're 18-2 right now. I think it's one of those things where it's not like Durant was traded or anything. It's just he was unhappy, is what the interviews sounded like. I watch a lot of his interviews. He just talked about how I think kind of like he felt like the organization and the fans put Steph first, which he should have expected going in. But I think once he was in it, he realized like I'm not going to get the love or respect that I want here anymore. I'm going to try to win on a different team. So I think it's a little hindsight to say it was a mistake, but like if he wanted to win and really be part of a dynasty, then it's starting to look like he should have stayed. Um, and
That's a good point.
I think, yeah, and to your point, it's like I think what he didn't foresee is Kyrie, because him and Kyrie are really close or whatever, and you know, Kyrie not playing the whole year because of a not even because of an injury. I mean, I think that was unpredictable. And then I think you brought this up. I think they probably made a mistake by trading for James Harden, man. I mean, what's he doing this year? Like, is he even averaging 20 points anymore? Like, he's been really bad. And, Durant's expected to do everything: score, rebound, assist. Like, it's literally all him. So it's been tough sledding for him. But, if Kyrie comes back, I think, they'll be right back in the mix. They still have a decent record without him. So we'll see what happens. Last Golden State question here. Is this roster better than the 73-9 roster?
Ooh. I would say no, because I don't think that they are going 73-9 this year. I don't think they can. Well,
Well,
they can, but
it's impossible
they
to go 73-9 in a season, basically. Like,
yeah, it's basically impossible. So
yeah,
yeah, they can't really do it again. I think that even though Draymond is helpful right now in a lot of different ways than he was helpful back in the 73-9 days, I still don't think it's the same Draymond. Obviously, having no Clay, and just that team worked very well together. Um, it was a moment in history, a moment in time, and I don't think they're quite there yet. I think maybe when Clay comes back, then maybe there's an argument for it. If Clay comes back the same way he did
yeah.
and comes back, full force, then maybe there's an argument for that. What do you think?
Um, it's tough because I think maybe from a talent perspective, like they might actually be better because of Jordan
Mm,
Poole and he's so good, and Gary Payton the second, Weissman when he comes back. These are all really good rookies they've added. Um, but I think from like an actual, on the court, like Clay will not be what he was on that 73-9 when he was, in his prime. And Iguodala is definitely not what he was on that team. And,
mm.
they had Sean Livingston and, guys that are more like role players, but, veteran role players, I should say. And then Draymond, you mentioned. So I think the 73-9 team is better, but there's definitely an argument for the roster.
Yeah, and I
Um,
totally forgot about Wiseman. When he comes back too, then that could definitely
yeah,
bring more credence to the argument as well.
he's gotten a lot of criticism, but I think he's gonna make them a lot better because asking Draymond to be the center is kind of asking a lot, especially in the West. And I've told you
Mm,
this like a million times already, but it's like when you get to the playoffs and you have to face Aiden, Jokic, Gobert, and Anthony Davis. I mean, I don't know if
mm.
Draymond's the answer to that question, even Nurkic. So, well, we'll talk about Portland later. Maybe they won't be in the playoffs.
Dame, my
You know what?
guy.
Let's just get into it because I had them third on the docket, but I want to talk about this. All right, like you've been railing on them for a while, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to believe it. I thought Dame. I wanted Dame to win here so bad. How sick would it be? And I
It
watched
would
them,
be
and
it
it's
would be
just
incredible.
yeah, it'd be great. And it's just not gonna fucking happen, dude. I can't do it
No.
anymore. I can't lie to myself any fucking more. And I used to think Nurkic was the problem, and he still is. So I'm not letting him off the hook here, but I mean, I watched them play the Kings, dude, and CJ motherfucking McCollum. Like, I mean, like, we're in the NBA, CJ. You can't be having a 5-second violation when Dame's standing right in your face to inbound the ball. I mean, that was crazy. It was like college shit. And then he traveled in a big spot, and I don't even want to mention the shooting numbers, but it's just like, come on, man. Oh
Yeah.
my god, frustrating to watch that team. And I don't know, they might be able to turn it around, but I just don't think so. So, I'm finally going over to your side here, and my question becomes, and it's not word on the street yet, but it will as they continue to lose, and I think they will continue to lose. Where should Dame Lillard be traded? That's all it comes down to, because I just don't think he's going to want to stay anymore at some point. Like, enough is enough. They're not surrounding him with good enough talent. So, what team do you want him to go to?
Ooh, that's a really great question. Um, there's a lot of interesting options for sure. I think one of the most interesting options, and we can tie this into the news stories about Denver, but with them losing Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray being an injury away from, I think it's game over for the kid, depending on how he does when he comes back or if he has, trade value. That could be a pretty interesting spot for Dame to go. I think there's definitely some shoes to fill there over in Denver. So I would love to see that because I want to see Dame with Jokic. I want to see him with a big superstar. And just looking at it, I'm not sure how many places are open for that for his spot right now because Phoenix, they got Book and Paul right now. So I think that there's not really much vacancy there. I mean, of course we're going to trade everybody next year, so I don't even want to get into what the Lakers are going to look like. But I like Denver. I like Denver a lot. Yeah, that would be so sick, dude. Oh my god.
I never even thought about them as a destination, but that'd be great. That'd be a great fit. Him and Jokic would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, this has been talked about in the media a lot, but I think Philly would have to be the place for me. And I just think they have the pieces to do it. You give up Ben Simmons, and you let them. And I think if you're Portland, if you keep McCollum and you get Ben Simmons, I mean, that's a team I won't believe in, but I think that's something. And then it just depends on how much Philly gives up because they have so much to trade. And like it just depends on what Portland asks for because you can ask for your asking price can be anything, but you gotta keep Matisse Thybulle if you're Philly and you're gonna do any sort of trade. If I know probably not everybody's watching Philly without Embiid, but this kid's really good defensively, and it's like you just gotta keep a guy like that on your team. And Tyrese Maxey is another good player for them. I don't know if you probably have to trade at least one of those guys along with a bunch of picks. So. But I just think him and Embiid is a great duo, and they're good enough defensively to kind of offset that. That's probably my one issue with him going to Denver is like, how good are they going to be defensively with Dame, who's not a great defender, and Jokic can't really play defense. So it's like you got Embiid, you got Matisse, even Tobias is okay. That's kind of a good defense to offset whatever Dame can't do defensively.
Yeah. Here's a question. Does Milwaukee have the balls?
Oh my god, I was going to talk about that next.
Do they have the balls to do it? Because, I mean,
no.
I could see him in Green, but they don't have the balls. Get rid of Holiday, get rid of someone else.
But like if you're
maybe
Portland,
Holiday and Middleton.
I guess if you're Portland, you would do that.
You would definitely do it.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, but then what do you have left on the wings? It's like if
does it matter? Does it matter, dude? You just figure it out, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess with Brook back, maybe you move Giannis to the wing and just go big, just go massive. You go Giannis, Portis, and Lopez. just go massive with it. That's the kind of basketball I like. So I guess it would work. I don't know. Dame and Giannis would be sick. So I'm glad you brought up Milwaukee because I was going to talk about them. So this interview happened a while ago, so it's kind of a little old news. But everyone ran with this and took it out of context. Giannis did a GQ interview. It's really good, really short. Definitely worth the watch. GQ always does great interviews with these guys where they go undercover on the internet. And there was a quote, I think kind of taken out of context, but, everyone ran with it. So basically, Giannis said, where'd it go? Basically, Giannis said, like, he loves new challenges, and he says his next challenge might be on, like, a new team, basically, is what he said in this interview. So, you've been very critical of Milwaukee. You've been very critical of the talent surrounding Giannis, which is fair at times. So, if Giannis was to leave, where would he go?
Ooh, where could Giannis go? That's an interesting question. It's a bit of a difficult question because everyone can kind of trade everything for Giannis. Um, but where can I see him? So let's think about why he does leave. And he leaves because he wants more talent around him, because he probably wants to form a dynasty, right? He wants some long-term domination when he does leave. So he needs kind of a young talent pool, or maybe a guy who's already there who's incredibly dominant but is kind of just on an island right now. Interesting question. Is there a potential for a Trae Young Giannis dynasty?
That'd be lit. That'd be lit. You give up Collins. Maybe Hunter and Bogdanovich, who they wanted anyway. I mean, is that even enough? Because you don't want to give up Capella.
True.
I love Capella, and he's going to be...
True.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd want to leave it. He'd leave in free agency because there's no trade for Giannis. I feel like his value is too high.
Yes, I mean,
unless he really wants out. Like
in LA, we're gonna get rid of. There's gonna be a lot of cap space opening up. Let's just say that.
Well, we have nothing to trade. I'll tell you that. There's nothing to trade.
Well, we have nothing to trade, but like you said, in free agency, I mean, we signed a lot of guys to 1-year deals.
Yeah, and Westbrook's not coming back. Unless he wants to come back for cheap. Because he's not been as bad. I don't want to be like an ass because like everyone's been critiquing him more than he's deserved, but like he's not worth $44 million. I can tell you that much. That's all I'm gonna say.
Or are we missing the most obvious dynasty here in the Eastern Conference?
Who's that?
Which is the Charlotte Hornets.
That's a good fit. I dig it. They have nothing to trade, but it'd be sweet. Him and LaMelo would be.
That's the problem. Is who do you trade?
There's nobody you can trade in the league. Ideas? There's nobody in the league that's like equal to Giannis. Like like you could trade entire starting fives and they're still not equal. Like he's that valuable. So the media obviously immediately went New York Knicks. Which I say, fuck no!
Silly
Every
Knicks
time
fans.
a free agent
Silly
gets
Knicks
brought
fans.
up for the Knicks, it's just like, it's a joke, dude. Like, nobody's signing to that bum-ass fucking team. And guess what? They're shit again. They're back to shit. Alright? They were a 1-year wonder, like I said. And Tibbs had the balls there, like, Kemba's out of the rotation. Like, that doesn't change the fact that you're shit. He's one of your better players. Like, that pissed me off when that came out this morning. Now, here's what I thought he should have went before he signed his extension. And nobody's going to like this. I thought he should have went to Golden State and just said, fuck it. Fuck the league. Fuck the league. I'm going to win 10 championships. But obviously that's not going to happen anymore.
Unfortunately.
So here, if any other team, like if he became a free agent, because like we said, there's no one who could really trade for him. But I actually think the Chicago Bulls would be a really interesting fit for him. It'd just be Lonzo, and you see DeRozan's been really great. I just think that'd be a really interesting fit. But you know me, David. I love when I want these guys to stay for the most part. If, unless the situation gets like James Harden bad or whatever, like or Ben Simmons bad, then
Hmm.
it's time to go. Or like or what Dame Lillard's at right now, right? Like he's been there 10 years. They're not going to win. All right, it's time to go. Like there is a time to go, but like if you're Giannis, I want to see you run it back. Like I want to see you get 2 or 3 rings with this team. You can do it. This team is capable. I believe it. So
Hmm.
we'll see. Yeah, but it's a fun little exercise. This whole bullshit narrative going around about John Morant is really pissing me off, bro. As for those that don't know, John Morant got injured, and it looked like it was season ending. I'm not gonna lie. Non-contact, just running up like side to side on the floor, like oof. But he will return this season at some point, thankfully. But there's this narrative going around because Derrick Rose got injured. Oh, he doesn't land right. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, all these people saying this shit know nothing about basketball or sports medicine or anything. They're just like you and me sitting their fat asses on the fucking couch, alright? Like, you don't know how hard it is to land perfectly when you're
Listen,
jumping that fucking high. Like, John Moran brought this up in an interview. I'm so glad he said it with the beautiful Taylor Rooks. She's a great interviewer, right? So they talked about that, and he's like I don't think people understand like how hard it is for me to land like the perfect way every single time. It's just like, and that's just pissing me off. Like if you were a sports doctor and you were saying that, all right, more power to you. But all these fucking dumbasses on the internet saying like Jaw needs to land right, or else like his career is gonna be like D Rose. It's like Derrick Rose had like degenerative knee problems like early in his career. Like Jaw, like this is his first injury ever, and it's just like like. I don't know. Like, I just think people need to shut the fuck up about that. What are your thoughts on Jaw and
yeah,
this
listen,
injury?
dude. I last week I was playing basketball at the YMCA trying to do some reverse layups, and I fucked up my back, dude. I'm not jumping high, dude. It looks very bad when I'm trying to do these things. And so me just doing that made me realize that the caliber that these guys are playing on is a whole different
Mm-hmm.
level. You know, these are true athletes, guys. Like John Morant is a professional athlete. He doesn't need your advice on how to jump. All right, you guys are Tom. You guys would look like Tom Segura if you try to do what John Morant did. Okay, so stop with that. Jaw will be fine. Jaw's listening to people way smarter than us about how he should
Mm-hmm.
land. So and the team and the coaches and the staff and the physical trainers all have Jaw's back. So he's good to
Yeah.
go.
Um, yeah. So I want you to rank some of these teams here. Um, so I want you to rank these 3 teams in the East: Atlanta
Okay.
Hawks, Atlanta Hawks, Chicago Bulls, and the Miami Heat. Rank these 3 for me.
Hmm. Interesting. Ooh, yeah, this is interesting because I was definitely wrong on a couple of my predictions so far for these guys. Actually, all three. I was very off in the beginning of the year. Um, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go Bulls right
Mm.
now. I'm going Bulls one. I really like the Bulls right now. I'm going to go. Yeah, I guess it's not gonna be much of a surprise. I'm going Bulls, Heat, Hawks. Same way that they're
Oh
ranked.
wow.
I think that the Bulls are actually really good. For some reason, they're not a flash in the pan yet. I don't know why. I don't know why it's working, but it is working. And the Heat are just a very solid team. I wouldn't bet against them in like a 7 game series against the Hawks. And although the Hawks are getting better as the year goes by, I one of my biggest problems that I'm starting to realize with the Hawks is that maybe they don't have as much as we thought they had in the beginning. Um, Maybe there are actually some holes in the Hawks lineup. Um, Question for you. I'll let you get my. I'll let you do the rankings, and then I'll ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know your rankings, and then I want to know your thoughts on Capella.
Mm.
Capella
Um,
rankings.
I have rankings a little different. I had the Hawks. Out of those three teams, I think they're the best team. And I agree with all your points. I don't disagree. I think they may be missing something. Like they may need to make a move at the deadline. But I just think I love Trae Young. That's just what it comes down to for me. Like I just think he's gonna figure it out. If he's off, he gets 15 assists, and when he's hot, they just give him the ball and get the fuck out the way. It's great. And, they have all kinds of defense and scoring. I just think, and I love their coach, who Indiana should have never fired. I first guessed that. I just think the Hawks are going to be good. I mean, they struggled early. They're inconsistent a little bit. But when they're firing, they look as good as any team to me. I originally had Chicago over Miami, but I'm going to give Miami the edge now just because they beat them this weekend. So that's all it comes down to. But Miami has a lot of experience. They went to the finals in the bubble. So that's really, I like stuff like that. I like the way Bam's playing. Their bench is a little scarce, and especially when Bam goes out the game. Like Dwayne Dedmon is like way too old to be out there. And like I think that could come back to haunt them a little. But I'm with you on Chicago, and I'll go a step further. I think they're like a legit contender, and the reason is DeMar DeRozan, because like he just looks different to me. Maybe I've been sleeping on him a little bit, but like his mid range, like as soon as he gets like space, it's over. It's 2 points. Like go back to the end of the floor, and like Lonzo's jump shot is like new. I loved how they played Charlotte recently. And then they kind of just blew them out. I mean, it was cool to see Lonzo play LaMelo, though. Shout out to LeVar. Everything he said was really true. He has two NBA players, and one of them is going to be an All-Star. So
I know he almost had the Infinity Stones. He almost.
What's
had
that? Oh,
just
Jello.
All 3 signs.
Why isn't Jello playing? We know why Jello's not fucking playing. What was your question?
Jello,
again?
you can always date a Kardashian. Jello, you can always date a Kardashian.
What was your question? Sorry, I forgot.
Capella. What are your thoughts on Capella?
Oh, I love him. A little undersized. I wasn't really a believer, but the more I watch him, like he just grabs so many rebounds for them, and John Collins gets plenty of rebounds too. So he's good defensively. I think him on Embiid and Giannis is going to be tough because he's so small, but like I just think like what would be interesting, and no one will do it because of the new NBA, but like if they put him at the power forward and get like another center behind him, like then like that'd be a great defensive team. But the new NBA, you can't have more than you can't have someone big, God forbid they have to go guard a 3, whatever. Stupid. All right, for my next 3, it's in the West, but I think Phoenix has become so good that it's kind of silly to put them in this, so I'm going to change Phoenix for Dallas. So here's my 3. The Denver Nuggets, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Utah Jazz.
Interesting question. I mean, with Michael Porter Jr., that makes it really tough now. That makes it a really tough conversation. The Utah Jazz, the Dallas Mavericks. Let me think here. I'm going to do the obvious Utah at number 1. Actually, you know what, dude? Fuck it, bro. This is the Ginger and Soul motherfucking show, dude. And you know who is the future of the motherfucking NBA? You know who the motherfucking future of the NBA is? Donovan Mitchell is one of those guys. Sure, Donovan Mitchell, he's going to be one of those guys, but you know who's the real future of the NBA? Luka motherfucking Doncic, baby. And you know who's back in the building? Porzingis, bro. You got Luka Doncic and Porzingis, and they're rubbing their hands together. They're getting that European magic going on. They're looking like a great team. They got Rick Carlisle the fuck out of there, and now they're feeling better. Luka's feeling like he's respected. I'm putting Dallas Mavericks at number 1, baby. I'm
Nice.
putting the Utah Jazz at 2, and I'm putting the Nuggets at 3. The Nuggets would have been number 1, but I don't know what's going on in Colorado. Maybe it's the thin air we got out there. People are having trouble breathing, and they're getting like muscle muscle suffocating things, and it's not going well for them. But Jokic will obviously carry them very far. But Dallas Mavericks, Utah Jazz, Denver Nuggets.
I like it. I like the bold take. I'm realizing there's nothing you love more than a tall white European player.
True.
This is tough because I don't like the Utah Jazz, right? So it's tough. And I'm with you. I would originally have Denver 1 if Jamal was playing, but he's not out there, and I can't play. This isn't fantasy, right? Like, I can't just imagine. This isn't 2K, all right? Is he out there or is he not? All right, so I'm going to go Utah 1. I was excited when you brought up Donovan Mitchell. He's my favorite player. But what I don't like about Utah, man, they've bought into the bullshit. Let's just chuck up a bunch of threes and see what happens. Like, that's going to be our whole fucking offense. No, ignore the big 7'3" player in the paint guarded by a 6'4" guard. No, we're just going to chuck up threes like the Spurs. And it's just like, that could work. It looks great when they're going in, but like, and they're great defensively. I'll give them that, but I just don't like their offense. But I'll put Utah at number 1, as much as I don't want to. And I'm gonna go Denver 2, only because of Jokic. Because of Jokic. Because Jokic, I was like, man, there's like Jokic has been injured and they've lost like all 7 games. It's like, damn, like maybe they're just not that good. And then Jokic came back today against Miami and they smacked the fuck out of them. And it's like, oh, right, this is why I picked them to be in the finals. Like, once Jokic is out there, it's like, everybody's better. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, I remember why I like this team so much. So I just think the Nuggets are going to be in the picture. And Jokic, to me, and no one's going to talk about it because everyone's going to be all on Steph's nutsack because he's been amazing. I'm not hating on Steph. Calm down, everybody. But, like, Jokic is playing unbelievable. Like, so I think he has to be in the conversation. I know the NBA doesn't like giving back-to-back MVPs, but at least make him a finalist is all I'm going to say. Now, Dallas, I was so bummed at how they started the year, man. I was like, wow, like, is this even a playoff team? And I watched them beat the Clippers in overtime. It was a great game. Paul George hit a crazy shot just to get it to overtime, but I think Dallas, that game, flipped a switch for them a little bit. I still think they're really bad defensively, but Luka is finally back in shape, it would appear, and Porzingis is finally healthy. I think they have a lot to offer. And I think they're a sleeper in the West right now. I think they're going to be a lot higher than they've been the last few years because the Lakers are spiraling. The Clippers probably aren't going to be in the playoffs, or if they are, they're going to be a really low seed. So that's 2 teams they'll leapfrog, right? And then Denver, who knows? Portland may not make the playoffs at all. So they could be a top 5 team now and, maybe even have home court. So I think that really changes their season and how far they can go. All right, last but not least, this is the big question. Now we're going to ask the big questions here on Ginger and Soul Podcast. Ready? Rank these 4 teams: the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Golden State Warriors, and the Phoenix Suns.
Ooh. All right. I'm going Warriors, number 1 team in the league. I think. Number 2, I'm going with the Bucks. Who are the Nets and what other team?
The Phoenix Suns.
And the Suns. The Suns, I'm going number 3, and I'm going Brooklyn, number 4. And I can read, guys. I do know that Brooklyn is number 1 in the East. But
are they actually?
Yes. But
Oh my god, that's crazy. Sorry.
the big three, I'm doing air quotes for the listeners, has not been healthy and has had games where they've missed in Milwaukee. So I think at the end of the day, all things are going to even out. All things are going to be balanced as they should be, as Thanos would say. And Bucks are going to lead the Eastern Conference. The Nets can't hold on to it long, I think. I think that Golden State, they're going to get Clay back. They're going to get Wiseman back. They're going to be even better than they are right now. I think they're going to keep it up. The Suns are probably going to be the Suns' health. The Suns might even end up number one team in the West, right? But I think that we're going to find out that maybe will they beat Curry though in this Curry and Clay? Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in a 7-game series with Draymond Green? I don't know about that.
Draymond can sit. They'll still win.
So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, that's how I rank them. What do you think?
This might be one of my most controversial takes on our podcast.
I know where you're going with this one.
Give me the Milwaukee Bucks, baby. Best team in basketball. I don't care what the record says. They're running it back. 2022 champs, baby. If you guys haven't noticed, Giannis keeps shooting further and further. Pretty soon he's gonna make full court shots. I don't know. And he doesn't. And the days of you guys motherfuckers doing that dumb countdown, which I've never seen done to any player in NBA history, and I've seen some motherfuckers take a very, very long time at that free throw line. Those days are very long gone. He is just draining free throws at this point. So I just think Giannis is gonna figure it out. Middleton's back. As much as we don't like him, still a nice second option when Giannis gets quadruple teamed. So I just think they're going to figure it out and they're going to go on a run. This is where it gets tricky for me, and they're about to play each other twice. So we'll kind of see what happens there, but as of today, I'll go with the Warriors.
You're right. 2 games in a row. Oh
yeah,
my God.
they played twice this week. And like
place your bets.
I mean, this is tough because I love what the Suns are doing, and every the odds makers and the media are just not even talking or just sleeping on them, and they've won 16 straight, and they're not playing slouches. They smacked Brooklyn. It was over early. They played the Knicks too, and they killed them. I mean, they're beating everybody by a lot, and I'm sure they've beaten some other big teams I'm leaving out during this win streak. But I mean, what they're doing cannot be underestimated.
They've beat everybody.
Yeah, I mean, they're beating everybody. And I just think that their roster, their starting lineup is better than Golden State. But the Warriors are so hot right now. It's just you can't say that they're not better than the Suns as of today. But I mean, the Suns can really prove that they're better than the Warriors this week. So I'm kind of leaving it open ended. But as of today, I'll take the Warriors. And then the Nets. I mean, I had them last out of these 4, and it's just I could even I would even put some teams above them, dude. I don't believe in the Nets at all. I just don't like teams that don't play any defense. Call me old school. You need to play defense. At some point, you need to grab rebounds. That's what's killing them. I don't know. That's just my honest opinion on it. But Brooklyn could be interesting if they get Kyrie back, or I mean, I think maybe trading for Harden ended up killing them with no LeVert and no Jared Allen. I mean, you kind of see what's the consequences. Yeah. All right, that's it for the NBA. We've been going for a while here, so let's quickly do some NFL stuff and get out of here. So let's run through a bunch of stuff. I want to start with this, actually, because it's been bothering me, and it played out the way I expected, so I'm happy. Odell Beckham, all right? He went to the Rams, the second best team in Los Angeles, and it's just one of those things where it's maybe Odell's insane, dude. So apparently Odell Beckham asked Devontae Adams, he's like, yo, I'm going to need that. You know how they do that jersey swap at the end? He's like, yo, I'm going to need that jersey. I'm going to need that jersey. And Devontae told him, go get Cooper Kupp's jersey because that's clearly your boy. I love that. And I've been banging on the table, campaigning hard. I'm number one in line saying, Odell, go to Green Bay. You're the missing piece. Devontae and Odell, and Devontae was campaigning hard for him too, so it's just one of those things. And lo and behold, Jalen Ramsey, best cornerback in the league, got flambéed, destroyed by Devontae, and then they're like, all right, why don't you try guarding Valdez-Scantling? And then Rodgers like, hey, go deep. And he burned him too. It was great. Oh my goodness, just a shellacking on national TV. So the point of all this is not just to gloat about how shit the Rams are and how great my Super Bowl pick is. The question now becomes, like, are the Rams a contender at all? What do you think? And what's wrong with Matthew Stafford is the other question. 3 straight games of pick 6.
Jesus, yeah. Are the Rams still contenders? I think that the Rams are definitely still... I think the Rams are still contenders because even though, they did get absolutely destroyed on defense, and it looks the Rams defense is kind of getting exposed right now, which might be the biggest twist of the year. Not sure. They still were kind of close,
in that game?
In that game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, listen, 8 points, it wasn't looking great, but they're
down 20.
Yeah. Listen, Stafford, you're right. Stafford's been throwing these picks, and the defense has been getting absolutely roasted. But I still think that the Rams are a pretty good team, and the rest of their schedule, let's see. The rest of their schedule is actually pretty difficult. Yeah, it could go. Actually, you might be right. It could go really fucking bad for the Rams. But I won't count them out. I won't count them out yet. Well, they have the Jags, easy win. But then they have the Cardinals. And then, so that's probably a loss. And then they have the Seahawks, which, they could win that, but it's still, Seahawks. So it's going to be, who knows what could happen with them. Yeah, they'll beat them. The Vikings, they could lose that.
Yeah.
The Ravens, they could lose that.
Huge game.
And then they play the Niners, and the Niners already smacked them. So
all right.
Schedule's not looking great.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think maybe they're not a Super Bowl contender, and maybe they're just a playoff team at this point.
That's a good point.
I'm kind of with you, yeah. I think the biggest surprise here is how Von Miller wasn't the acquisition I think you and I both thought he'd be, and he's just... I don't know what that's about. He was playing well, so that's kind of weird. And, Aaron Donald, I just think, if you have Aaron Donald and Matt Stafford, you're going to have a chance. And I think, as much as I don't like Robert Woods, not that I don't hate Robert Woods or anything, I just think he's a little overrated, but he ended up being a huge loss for them, dude, because now it's just like, oh, okay, who am I going to throw to? Cooper Kupp, and that's it. There's when Stafford drops back to pass, if Cooper Kupp is covered, there's nobody else open. And, Odell, now there's so much pressure on Odell to be great. He can't just be like Antonio Brown is in Tampa, right? Where he's like, oh, it's nice to have this borderline Hall of Fame talent on our team, But now it's like, no, Odell needs to get the ball. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
I think that's what he wanted, But we're gonna find out if that's what he actually needed.
Well, it's kind of like, all right, yeah. All I was gonna say is just Odell getting thrown in. He kind of got thrown into the fire. I think he needed probably an offseason to really mesh in this McVay boy genius bullshit offense. So he brought up the Niners. Let's good segue because he brought up the Niners, right? Yeah. You're roasting me. You're giving me shit, but they win again. They win again. And it's a good win, even though at times they were like, maybe we want to lose this game, actually. But they pull out the win. And now the question becomes, Are they going to win the NFC West like your boy originally predicted? After all, could they do it?
Hell nah. All right, Niners fans. Okay, Jimmy G fans. All right, I know I'm the biggest Jimmy G hater on the planet. Okay, but they are playing better. But also, guys, they beat the Jags. They beat the Rams, Vikings. Those are their past 3. But they've also taken losses to the Cardinals, the Colts,
the Cardinals sweep them,
the Seahawks. Yeah, the Packers. So they kind of, I guess the biggest teams they've beat really are like the Rams and the Vikings. So we got to kind of relax on the Niners here. Let's look at their forecast though and see what they got going on, because looking at it, there might be some good things in their future. So Seahawks, they could win that. Bengals, they could win that, I think.
Ooh, good game.
Falcons, obviously. Titans, listen, by December 23rd when they play the Titans might not have anybody left. So we'll see how that goes. And then they play the Texans, and then they wrap it up with the Rams. So if Jimmy G could go on a streak, then we might be talking about something here. But let's compare it with the Cardinals schedule, though, because at this point in the year, it's all about matchups.
Do we know if Kyler's coming back this week or anytime soon?
Kyler should be back this week against the Bears, then the Rams, then the Lions, then the Colts, the Cowboys, and then the Seahawks.
Only 2 of those wins are gimmies. Oh, sorry, 3.
Yeah,
because the Bears is a gimme.
Yeah, and the Cardinals are up 3 games, so 49ers essentially have to win every game.
Yeah, I think you laid it out perfectly. I think that means the Niners are a wild card team at best. Mm-hmm. But that Cardinals-Rams game is going to be a huge, huge game for the NFC standings, the division, for everything. So that's going to get a lot of hype. So let's move on to Tampa Bay. You're the biggest Tom Brady meat rider I know, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you, man. They've looked like absolute shit lately, and I know they won that game, all right? But Carson Wentz, you know what? Like, as much as I would like to blame Carson Wentz, and it is his fault, Frank Reich, didn't give Jonathan Taylor, our guy, our fantasy guy, our hero.
I know.
They didn't give him the fucking ball.
This is what I was saying the whole time. I was looking at the screen, and I was like, you fools.
They ran 22 straight pass plays, I heard this morning. Something ridiculous. And it's and they didn't give him the ball till the 4th quarter. It's well, you're supposed to give it to him a little earlier. I get it. Tampa Bay has one of the better run defenses in the league, but you got to run it a little bit, right? And then, Carson Wentz, of course, right on schedule, fumbles the punt. No, I'm kidding. But they did fumble the punt, and that flipped the game. But he fumbles the ball, as always. And then I texted my friend, he's always due for a fumble and a really bad interception. And right as I said that, there comes the really bad interception. So,
listen, Carson. Yeah.
Okay.
Indiana. Who do you think Carson Wentz is? You fucking idiots.
I'll tell you
Carson Wentz is Tom Brady? No.
Dude, he's garbage. He's not even that fucking Ryan, all right? He's a fucking bum. Get him out of there. Get a real quarterback on that team. Phillip Rivers took these teams to the playoffs, and it was a lock, all right? And Phillip Rivers at the end of his career. So this is Carson Wentz's prime. But, enough Colts slander, all right? We're here to talk about Tampa Bay. Is Tampa Bay, your Super Bowl pick, still poised to make a run here?
Hell yeah! Listen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got one problem, and it ain't Tom Brady, it's defense. Yeah. That defense is getting torn up. Sure, is Tom throwing couple more intos at age fucking 43? Sure, But listen, the big problem here is that they're getting burnt by Carson Wentz on the defense. They've lost all their secondaries. Sherman's gone, I'm pretty sure. Every game, someone's getting hurt on that defense. So they just need to shapen up their defense, and then Tom Brady's going to do what Tom Brady and that offense is going to do. Antonio Brown will be back. Gronk is back looking good. And listen, they just have a bunch of really fast, really tall black guys. And then and Tom Brady's gonna throw to them on the offense. And it's gonna be great. So yeah, Tampa Bay, I mean, it's looking more dim as things go on defensive side. And obviously, we'll talk about Green Bay, but I'm still riding. I'm still riding with the boys.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm with you on the Tom Brady and the offense part because that offense is a juggernaut. And one guy you left off is Gronk looks great. He killed them yesterday. It's just like, and we have a security blanket like that. It just makes the offense so crisp. And so I think you can't count them out, and that division is over. Like, I mean, we talked about Carolina a little bit. Oh no, we talked about them before the podcast, but they're done, and the Saints are done, and the Falcons are done. So it's over. They won the division. Congrats. So they're gonna be in the playoffs, but what's gonna happen when they have to make a return to the frozen tundra? Or if they have to play even Aaron Donald, I mean, who knows what happens there? But I think Green Bay is looking like that team to me. But I'm just surprised. I don't know, like it's Tom Brady and he'll figure it out as he always does. But it's like I was just surprised how bad they looked is all the last 2 weeks because we didn't talk about the Washington game, but I was very sad over that. Let's just say that. All right,
Yeah.
let's talk about. Let's talk about both our teams. I'll start with mine because I do have it written down. Is the Chargers season over after a horrible loss to the Denver Broncos?
Are you asking me that question?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
Is the Chargers season over? No, I don't think so at all. I think the Chargers definitely still have a very real chance of, if not winning the division, of getting the wild card spot. The Chargers are still 6-5. They're right in the mist with every other team in the AFC. Not every other team. I mean, Colts 6-6. Obviously, the AFC North is a shit show that's fucking up the wild card chances for other teams. But the Chargers are still looking. I think the Chargers still have a real chance. I've been loving the way Herbert's been playing. I don't know what happened against the Broncos, but it's like, dude, it's your guys' division game, dude. Like you play the Broncos, shit's gonna get fucked up. That's just how it goes in that division. But Herbert's still been playing like a beast. You guys definitely had some, the real scary thing with your team is that you're losing to like these good teams. And I think you want a big win against one of these, good teams in the future. But the rest of your schedule, I think you probably have like 4 buckets. Like the Bengals, I think you could beat them, the Giants and the Texans and the Raiders. And in between then, you play the Chiefs and the Broncos again, but you'll beat the Broncos when you get back to them. So yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. No, it's a good point about the schedule. Because the schedule early has been a gauntlet, right? Like our easy games are the Patriots and the Vikings, and look how those 2 teams are turning out. And we'll talk about the Patriots more in a second, but it's like, the Chargers have had a really rough schedule until the Broncos, and it's like, it's just, that's the kind of game you got to win. And, it's really disappointing to lose to a team like that, who's basically, well, actually, you know what? They're not even done, but they're, to me, and I think to most like NFL fans, they're kind of over. So you got to win that game. But I think the season isn't over, but it's on life support. All right. Like we're on our deathbeds here. We're like, I don't know, like I don't want to make fun of COVID people, but like, if your loved one has COVID and you're coughing, you got the respirator on, that's what the Chargers are right now, all right? Just imagine that scene. But I think that was kind of fucked up. But anyway, my point is, here's the only thing I can turn it around, all right? The Bengals are riding high. They're very cocky and confident. What did Joe Burrow say after the game? And I loved it, but I also kind of was like, wait a minute. Like, what have you guys done? After they beat the Steelers, someone asked him, like, oh, how does it feel to sweep the Steelers? Like, we've got bigger aspirations than the Steelers. Like, wait a minute. Calm down. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. That's the right thing to say, but it's just like, when I stepped back and thought about it, I was like, you guys aren't winning shit. And like,
Mm-hmm.
so, but I think they're a lock to make the wild card. I really do. They're a good team. If the Chargers go into Cincinnati and beat them, that changes the season. It turns it around. And the Broncos play the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. So
Mm-hmm.
if the Chiefs slap them, that kind of puts them out. And then we keep pace with the Chiefs. And if the Broncos somehow win, then I get to laugh at the Chiefs for losing. And and the Chiefs drop a game, and I think we're either tied or that much closer to the division title. So it all depends on next week is a huge week for the Chargers. So we'll keep an eye on that division. So I got two more. Let's do two more real quick because we've gone for a while here. Let's talk about the Ravens and that AFC North since you kind of brought them up.
Mm-hmm.
Man, like the Ravens, they keep finding ways to win, but that was an ugly game. And
Yeah.
Lamar, that was Lamar's worst game to me. What do you think the future is for the Ravens?
Mm. The future for the Ravens. I think that um I think that they're a playoff team. I don't think that they are AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to win that division. I think they're pretty clearly going to win because we talked about the Bengals. What have they done? Not really much of anything. So I think they're a playoff team, but I think that you're kind of they're just too ride or die on Lamar's performance at this point. I wish that their running game was better outside of Lamar Jackson. If you're watching Devontae Freeman run, he's not breaking out for big yards at all. And all year they've been cycling through these running backs and they've never been able to solidify a solid run game, right? Like a team needs to have fear of the run game as well as the passing game, and you need to give Lamar more opportunities to perform as a traditional quarterback would. And if you don't, then you're flipping the coin on Lamar Jackson getting 400 yards, and I just don't see how that makes any sense when because if a good team with a great defense figures out how to stop completely shut down the run, then you're not going to be left with a lot of options. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I was shocked how bad Lamar played because everyone was telling me that he's the MVP of the league, and I had not seen an MVP look like that. I don't know about you, maybe a running back. um, but no, in all seriousness, I think I'm with you. I think they hold on to the division. I think the Bengals are good, but the Ravens are a little better. What I do like about the Ravens, we talked about this before, they find ways to win.
Mhm.
I think what's going to happen is like when they have to throw the ball, like Lamar's arm, like it looks so good some days, and then like you watched last night or Sunday, and it's just um, like where's the arm? Where'd it go? Like this is Tim Tebow shit. Like the first interception wasn't his fault, and then like the next three were like one he like Mark Andrews was literally standing there wide open, and he just threw it to the defensive back, like not even near him. Like it was like I don't know, like, and I think you bring up a great point about Devontae Freeman. Like I forget who's the running back they lost for the year. J.K. Dobbins. It's
Mhm.
starting to show because they can't run the ball other than Lamar, and like that's a huge problem because that's a big part of their offense. And then when they pass, it's just they throw to Andrews a lot and Marquise Brown, sometimes, and Lamar's not. I said about 50 million times, but I don't know. No, the point is Lamar can't chuck it deep, is my opinion on it, and he was underthrowing people all night. Andrews made the catch of the year. I don't know if you caught that, David. Yeah, where he
Yeah,
hit.
that was
Yeah, that was crazy. So I kind of was stammering and stammering, but Ravens will win the division, and I think they'll probably flame out in the playoffs, kind of like they always do. So I think they're a few pieces away, and I'm done slandering Lamar because he's better than I realized. So this is going to be your favorite topic. This will be our last topic here. All right, we're back. Last one for you. Let's talk about the Patriots. They clapped the cheeks of the Titans. It could have been a trap game, but New England said, nope, we're here. They righted the ship in the second half, and they put Tennessee to sleep. So they have a big division game against the Bills, and I'm sure they have a couple more big games coming up. So what do you see for this team? Do you think they're the best team in the AFC, NFC, the AFC East? What do you think is going to happen with New England going forward here?
All I gotta say is, who is Mac Jones? Yeah, Mac Jones. We're New England. We're going to the motherfucking Super Bowl. That's what I think's gonna happen. That's what I think's gonna happen. I think that we're gonna show up to Buffalo. We're gonna expose them as an unbalanced team with kind of a whack defense. They're not gonna be able to score on us, and we're gonna get the dub. And then in the playoffs, who are we gonna run into that's gonna beat us? Really? I mean, let's think about this. So we run into Baltimore. Do you think Lamar's beating? You think Lamar's beating Mac Jones and Bill Belichick? Fuck no, baby. So we're beating them, and we haven't played the Chiefs this year. I don't think. I'm pretty sure we haven't.
No, we haven't.
So, and plus, I think we listen. If we could not lose the rest of the year, then we get a bye week, and then
let's just go undefeated.
and then we just keep the good times rolling. So yeah, what was I saying though? Yeah, we're looking great. I'm really liking how the Patriots are looking. Our biggest problem is definitely our receiving core. We can't like I'm looking at Jacoby Myers a lot in fantasy options, and I'm like, dude has literally one touchdown the entire year. And that's supposed to be our number one receiver on the team. That's absolutely shameful. We have a very tricky offense, of course, the classic New England way, passing it to these running backs or receivers for these yards and, getting these first down by first down. But, I think that we're going to need to be able to put major points on the board very quickly. And right now we just don't have the power to do that with our receiving core and with Mac Jones. But our defense is so fucking sick right now. And all we have to do is beat the goddamn Bills. We got to beat them twice. Boys.
I love your enthusiasm. So, I think you have a point, man. New England just has really arrived as contenders, I think it's a surprise we all should have seen coming. But yet none of us saw it coming. So props to them for being back. I think Deion Sanders brought this up, though. Once to get into the playoffs, how's Mac going to look? How's that defense going to play? Is the moment going to be too big? We'll have to find out. So a friendly rivalry pick, whatever you want to call on this show. You got the Pats on Monday. And I haven't learned my lesson yet. I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon. I'm not sold. Give me the Bills Monday Night Football. And Josh Allen. I'm taking him. So you got your Pats. I got the Bills. We're going head-to-head this week. So we'll keep you updated next week when one of us is crying and the other is cheering on the other line. So next week as well, we definitely need to talk about King Richard on this podcast. I watched it already. Sol has not, but he will. And it's a great movie. If any of you have not seen it yet, it is literally on HBO Max right now. Go check it out. Will Smith is outstanding. Don't want to give too much away on my critique, but there are some things I liked, some things I didn't like, and there's a lot to discuss on that one. And then, of course, we'll talk about Succession. I'm a little behind in that department, but I will catch up, and we can talk all about it and what we think on that show. So, any last words before we get out of here?
No. Yeah, looking forward to this next week's episode. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in to the Ginger and
Soul Podcast.
Catch you motherfuckers later. Pew pew.